Hello, everyone. Welcome to Snap Take. This is Glazer of Snap Judgments, the official podcast of Marvel Snap Zone, and I've got two very cool decks for you to talk about today. One is a variation on a deck we spoke of last week. It's not the same deck, it doesn't have several of the same pieces, but it plays fairly similarly. It is absolutely stellar. I've been playing it a lot. I think Jean is just good now. Like, we went from Jean being bad, seemingly nearly unplayable, to like she's just a good card now. Uh, and we have a second deck that's like a classic Sera Miracle, where that deck's job is to really just output power, to use Sera to put a ton of power on the board at the end of the game and win games of Marvel Snap that way. Before we go any further, though, I'd like to encourage you to please, if you're willing, if you find value in this type of deck and this type of deck review, hit that sub button, like and comment. It really helps us out. It costs you nothing and it helps us grow. And in return, every single weekday, I promise to give you at least two brand new decks that you're not going to find everywhere else that can help you win in Marvel Snap, whether that's getting Infinite, getting your Infinity Borders, or whatever else. These are proven decks that can help you succeed. So, that all said, let's get to Love Ocean 12 Conquest deck. This is a deck that Ocean, over on Twitter, Love Ocean is the person's Twitter handle, has created as like a move deck, fundamentally, as a move um, ability deck that just wins a lot of games of Snap. Ocean took this from Proving Ground straight through Gold twice, hence the 12-0. Just straight up rolled, right? 100% win rate. You're not beating that from Proving Grounds to Gold twice. I tested it. I haven't lost with it in like 5 or 6 games. It's really, really strong, and there's like no doubt it's really strong. So this has the Owl slash Lambie play line of Angela and Craven, and then you sort of want to bounce Silk between them, and you have Jeff and Nightcrawler as well, who you can play on that Angela and then move to Craven for more power. If you're doing this in a lane that has Jean Grey, it's phenomenal. Your opponent is sort of forced to compete with you as you get bigger there, and then all of your cards can just move out without any real trouble. On turn 5, what you'd really like to do is play Wave and then one of the ones or twos in this, or sorry, Miles and Nightcrawler with Wave, or Jeff or Silk plus Wave. What that's going to do is give you a last turn where your opponent can play one card and they can only play that one card in the Jean lane. Let's say that's an Angela lane where Angela has got big enough. You know that that card's going to be Shang-Chi. You can pull into a different lane that has lower powered things and using arrow and not let them kill your Shang with not sorry, let them kill your Angela priority. Or if they've got a bunch of like mid-range cards, you can drop a Magneto on that Craven lane, pump Magneto and Craven, and just go over the top of the opponent. It's a really powerful, really cool deck. And like Jean in this deck and Jean in the deck we shared Monday afternoon, if you'd like to go back and check, it's a high evolutionary surfer deck that also abuses Jean. Jean in these decks is a damn near meta card. She is what when Jean was spoiled, everyone went, oh, this is going to be one of the best cards. She was not right away because of the bounce meta and the way the meta developed. These decks are putting her into the meta conversation. Get ready. If you don't have Silk A this week, get Silk. Use the Spotlight Caches. She's worth it. You don't have Silk or Jeff, you're going to need one of the two, but not both. You can replace one with Cloak. I personally think Silk is better for this deck. And obviously, this version of the deck is built around Jean. If you don't have Jean, but you do have Silk, uh, there's a version of this deck I posted on Sunday. Please make sure you check that out. It is Safety Blade's version. It's also a stellar deck. I think the safety one may be a little better, but it's close. Like, they're very, very similar. Like, very similar. Okay, let's keep this going. Our next deck is actually, speaking of safety, Safety Blade has this deck. I like this deck because it's got X23 in it, and I think it's really powerful. Because you very often want an extra energy, especially if you don't see Sera. When you don't see Sera, an extra energy in this deck helps you win a lot of games of Snap. If you don't have X23, Scarlet Witch is perfectly fine here. Your basic goal here is to go Kitty, get down Angela and Bishop, and use and Dakin, and then use Sera, right? As you use Sera, your goal is to use Colleen or Killmonger to get rid of the Dakin Shard. Then you have a 3/8 there. Your Bishop gets up to about 3/8, 3/9. Your Angela gets to 2/6. And then you end the game with a huge Hitmonkey explosion, right? Like all of the stats from your 2 drops here are top notch. Your Angela ends up at 2/6, well above rate. Colleen a 2/4, well above rate. That can turn your Dakin into a 3/8 on the last turn of the game. Who cares what you discard? Mysterio's 2/4, that also pumps Bishop, and Silk is 2/5. These are all just great stats. This deck is all about putting stats on the board. You'll note it doesn't run Shang, it doesn't run any other bullshit. It's all about getting big numbers on the board. This is classic Sera Miracle, go over the top. And you know what? It really does a stellar job of going over the top and staying just under that Shang-Chi threshold that's so important in games of Marvel Snap. Occasionally, Angela or Bishop will get big enough, but not as often as you would think. And like your last turn of the game, if you can get a Sera out, is going to like win the game, right? The other big thing that really works well here is if you can get your X-23 either killed or discarded on turn 3, you can spend your turn 4 playing Sera, and then you have 2 turns of Sera. That's just extraordinarily hard to beat. This deck is under tested with X-23. It is very well tested with Scarlet Witch. So X-23 is a theory-based change, just so you know. Can't guarantee exactly how good that is, but it's pretty freaking good. Again, get Silk. Silk is in an absolute ton of decks right now. She is a stellar card. Hitmonkey will be out in a Spotlight Cache in 2 weeks with Alioth, who's like seemingly going to be a completely busted card. So you should grab that, and you should grab Dakin. Kitty is in next week's cache, but hopefully you were playing a Kitty for free. And again, you don't need X-23. So this deck just says, I'm going to output power, stop me. Well, let's see if this is stoppable or not, because this is putting a absolute crap ton of power, almost bounce numbers, without being vulnerable to Shang-Chi, much like Bounce was. You should try this deck out. Again, in the comments, let me know what you think of this deck. Let me know what you think of the first deck as you play them. Would love to hear from you as you try these decks out. Sub, like, comment, help us out. We appreciate you. See you tomorrow for another Snap Take, unless something completely crazy breaks and I do an extra video. Peace.